This is 911. State your emergency. Hello? I can't help you if I don't know where you're at, honey. Where are you at? Where are you? I need as many units as I can get for Fairfield Road. Give me the numbers.
911, what's your emergency?
Hey friends, it's Fletch. I'm Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Welcome to this new podcast series, Off the Cuff, Confessions of an ENP. Brought to you by 911 Inform, delivering next-generation 911 services for the enterprise today and making every second count. In this series, we're going to be talking to ENPs that have been on the job for years, as well as those brand new ENPs that have just passed the test. We'll dig in and have an in-depth conversation and find out what the ENP certification means to them. We'll talk about why they did it, what it means for their career, and what they did to pass the exam. Industry certifications are important to industry professionals, and the ENP certification is one that's admired by many in public safety. So join me as we find out exactly what makes an ENP tick in this off-the-cuff podcast series, Confessions of an ENP. Hey, it's Fletch. Welcome to this episode of Off the Cuff, True Confessions of an ENP. Today we're sitting down with Rebekah Biedermann from Laverne PD out in California, in the LA area. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So welcome to the world of ENP. When did you sit down for your test?
Beginning of February.
Okay. What did you think?
It was the hardest test I've ever taken in my life.
You know, I get to write the questions for the test, so there's this devious side of me that when people say it was the hardest test I've ever taken, I'm like, yes, means that we did our job. But it was a good test, though, right?
It was a really good experience. It was one of those things that when I got done, honestly, I didn't think I passed.
Really?
Yeah. And then when I got, because I did it remotely. So when I got the little green circle that said tentative pass, I think I did a little jig here in my office.
Do the happy dance, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
when I took my first one, you got the proctor told you pass or fail, but then you had to wait about 2 weeks to get your official certification back. And then you knew that you passed. And I think you still have to wait now for the official
Yeah,
cert,
you do.
because we go through and they validate. And what they do, PTC, Professional Testing Corp, they'll go through and they'll look at the statistics of the test. And if so many people got a question wrong, they'll pull that question and they'll look at it, and then we'll review it and go, okay, why did so many people get it right? Why did so many people get it wrong? Was there one question that had two answers that could have been correct, and one was more than the other, but an overwhelming number of people did the other one? And then we sit down and we go, okay, well, did we cause that by how we asked it or whatever? And that's why you'll see every once in a while a question that was wrong will get marked right, and a question that was right will get marked wrong. Doesn't happen that often, but it could happen.
Yeah.
So that's why they always say provisional. But there's nothing like that feeling, though, when you get told that you passed, right?
It was definitely a huge sigh of relief. I was actually getting ready to go on vacation like 2 days later, so I was definitely excited to get that provisional pass.
Cool. So how long did you study before you took the test?
So I actually had purchased all the study material and started looking at it probably about, probably a year and a half before.
Really?
And I kind of just glanced through it. I didn't really do a whole lot with it. And then I ended up getting accepted to the Sherman Block Supervisory Leadership Institute course. And so that kind of shifted my timeline a little bit.
Sure.
Because I had been told that the ENP was a very in-depth and required a lot of studying and time, which SLI did as well. And so I completed SLI. And then once I got done with that, I'm like, okay, it's time to get back on the ENP track. So I had taken the mission critical study group several months, probably about 10 months before I actually took the test. And Louisa was kind enough to send me all of the recordings and all of the paperwork and all that stuff. So I just went through those again, studied that. I did a lot of study guides online. There's a couple of Quizlet ones that were really good. My poor husband had to sit through flashcards with me. In fact, I think I've still got my flashcards sitting over there. But I think my hardcore studying was probably about 3 months.
Okay, that's cool. So you're lucky with all this Quizlet stuff. When I took mine, we had it was stone chiseled tablets and cave wall paintings.
Yeah, fortunately I did have a couple of people who had already taken it, and so some of the things that I had questions about, or I wasn't real sure what was being looked for. I was able to reach out to some of those people and say, okay, tell me this in plain English because I'm not understanding what I'm reading.
Right.
So my former supervisor, Leslie Whittam, was kind of my biggest cheerleader throughout it all. So she was walking me through a lot of it.
No, that's cool. You've got to have a study buddy. It really helps out a lot. And, you could be in this industry for 28 years and you'll get tripped up on the technology side, or you'll get tripped up on the legislative side. There's just so many facets to the test. It doesn't really matter how long you've been in the business. It's just a massive all-encompassing, but that's the whole benefit, or that's the whole purpose of the program. It's an emergency number professional. It says, I am a professional in this industry, and I know it top to bottom. What do you think you did the worst and the best on?
I think I probably struggled the most with the telephony and the next gen 911 stuff. I still struggle with some of the next gen stuff.
Well, it's all acronyms, right?
It is.
I live that every day, and that stuff is like nothing to me. But then I got to remember all the legislative stuff, and that blows my head apart.
Yeah, I think I understand the concept. I think I'm more conceptual than mechanical, probably. And, a lot of knowing that technical side of it is more the mechanical technical aspect. And so I think that's probably what I struggled with the most. That and trying to remember what I learned about telephony a lot of years ago. And so as far as the legislation, I think I actually did pretty good with that. I have really weird ways of studying. I make acronyms and phrases and really weird stuff. So a lot of that stuff I was able to kind of have my own little tricks in my head of how to remember them. I think I did pretty good on the management stuff. And I think a lot of that was due to just coming out of the SLI class.
Right.
I think that background definitely helped me with the legislative part of it. Because that's what we spent. Well, it was supposed to be 8 months, but thanks to COVID, it took us about 13 to get done. But we spent a very long time talking about that stuff, management, leadership, all that kind of stuff. So those were what I think were kind of my strengths and weaknesses, so to speak.
Are you going for any others like your CMCP or RPL or anything?
So I just put in for CMCP. It's with administration now, getting approval. I'm hoping to take the class at NINA in June.
Okay, great.
That's my goal. Our agency is starting to look at potentially partnering with some other agencies in the area. And so the consolidation piece of that is something I definitely need to be educated on. I've worked at a consolidated agency, so I do have that background, which I think will be beneficial for me. But doing it from the management side, that'll be kind of where the CMCP will definitely be helpful for me.
How many years do you have in the business?
28.
Wow. You started when? Wait, 5 or
I was
6
5.
years old?
Yeah.
5, yeah.
5.
Yeah. You've aged very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
A
Good
lot of lollipops back then.
genes.
So you started out what was your first position? Just dispatch?
I worked I was actually an explorer. I started when I was 15 as an explorer.
Good for you.
So I did that for a couple of years. And then
So what was the Explorer program like back then? What did they do?
we worked a lot of events. We did a lot of traffic control. We were glorified gophers.
Of course.
Washed the cars and cleaned up the station and all that kind of stuff.
But you know what? That's how you learn. That's how that's how the industry gets into your blood.
Yeah, absolutely. And my dad worked at the police department, and so I knew I wanted to do something in law enforcement, but I didn't want to be a cop. I had
Right.
no desire. I had no desire to be an officer. And so while my counterparts were doing their ride-alongs and all that stuff, I did sit-alongs in dispatch.
Okay.
And I had a couple of the dispatchers at my first agency kind of take me under their wing and taught me. So I sat in on my own time and learned. I put myself through the post-dispatch academy at Golden West. I did that on a semester-long basis, and then I got hired. And I tell people it was meant to be a college job. And here I am sending my son to college here pretty soon.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And you have a son even. Wow.
I do. I have 2.
You started when you were 5. You started everything very early.
Yeah, I have 2 of them.
So what do they think? Do they, obviously now they understand what you do, but growing up, did they understand what you did?
My youngest son had a phrase that he would always tell me. We've never had the typical, holidays or birthdays or any of that kind of stuff, because I've always worked shift work, obviously. And so they've kind of never really known any different. And when I would feel bad about, having to leave or something like that, my younger son would always tell me, "Mom, just go save lives. Just go save lives." And so they've always been super, super supportive. And, now that I'm on a normal schedule, we celebrate something on the actual holiday, and they're like, "Wait, what? Why are we celebrating today? I don't get it. It's not right." So,
did your kids ever tell you when you're having an argument, "I'm going to call 911"?
No, they would more say that, "I know how to get a hold of you. I just dial 911. No, it doesn't really work that way, honey. Sorry.
My daughter said to me, we were having an argument, and she said, "I'm going to call 911. I'm like, "You can't call 911. Daddy owns 911. That's right.
That's awesome. I do tell my kids that I get to tell cops where to go.
There you go. There you go.
They have to listen to me.
So what are they doing for their career? What do they have their sights on? Are they looking at public safety, or are they looking at normal lives?
Well, my younger one wants to be a firefighter.
Okay.
After the Marine Corps. He wants to go in the Marines and then be a firefighter.
Good for him.
My older son is getting into art and architecture. So he's no law enforcement for him, which is fine.
Well, hey, it's either in your blood or it's not in your blood. So, you got to follow your own passions. So studying, you had a lot of time to study because of, just the way you approached all of this. What are some of the tricks and tips that you used to get the content down?
I went through I went through a lot of the sample tests, some of them that were sent to me by mission critical partners, and then some that I had found online. And I would do flashcards with those. I would make flashcards of the acronyms because there's thousands of acronyms, it felt like.
Thousands of acronyms? Would they reduce it? Oh.
Yeah. Kind of the way that I created my flashcards was as I went through the study sessions, I would write down things that I didn't know. And then I would go up and I would look them up or, research them and then make that into a flashcard. And so, going through those, the practice test definitely helped because it kind of gave me a little bit of an idea of what format of question to expect, because when you're looking at all of the material, I think it's definitely overwhelming looking at all of the material because you're like, what are they going to ask? How are they going to ask me this? And so the practice tests definitely were helpful for me.
Right. That's the one thing. I mean, every year on the NINA Institute board, we go through the question bank and we pick out the questions for the 2 different tests coming up over the next year. And then we sit and take those tests. So we make sure the answers match up with the questions. Nothing's changed. It's all still relevant. But we also sit there and we look at the past history on whether it was an easy question or a hard question. And, we try to kind of like level things out a little bit as much. And I love taking the easy questions and making them hard and coming up with the trick distractors. That's what I find. I have a lot of fun with that every single year.
The one thing that I did find was interesting was as I went through it, there were some questions that kind of answered a previous question. So that was one thing that I really liked on the format, I can't remember the name of the company, but how you can flag a question, right, to go back to it and look at it later or something like that. So, I would flag questions that I wasn't 100% sure of the answer on. And there was a couple of times where as I moved through the test, I would be like, oh, there's what that acronym means. I'm going to go back to that one because I remember that, or, there was several of those type of things where other questions sort of clarified the original question that I was looking at.
So you take tests like I do. I go through and I blow through everything and I just bang off the easy questions that I know, and everything that I have to stop and think about, I put to the side. And then I go back and I redo those questions and then think about them and go through and answer them. Not a lot of people do it that way. I find just by interviewing everybody, the most common way people take the test is they go through it question by question by question, and they don't move on until they answer that one. I'm not sure. I don't like that for me because I would be continuously worried, am I going to finish?
Yeah. I went through and I did answer, and there were some of them, that I wasn't sure about, and I would go ahead and answer them.
Yep.
But then I would flag them knowing that I wanted to go back and think about it more or, reconsider it. The old adage of, your first response is usually the correct one.
Right.
I don't believe that. I definitely feel like I always need to go back and at least double check it.
I think probably that's true most of the time, but if by going through such a large test like that, you're going to find other things that make you remember, if you will, or clarify, and you're like, oh, gee, it wasn't the right question or the right answer because I wasn't thinking about the question properly. I don't consider that not going with your first intuition. You were misguided the way you read it, and now you've changed your mind there. So I'm with you.
It worked.
That's not the most common way, though.
Yeah, I that doesn't surprise me. I'm not common.
So What was the reaction once you got your certification? What was your reaction at home and at work?
Um, well, work was mad that I didn't tell them. Um, I I kind of felt that it was well, kind of the first reason I didn't really tell anybody is because if I didn't pass, I didn't want to have to tell anybody that I didn't pass.
They
Um,
didn't even know you were taking the exam. Oh,
well,
wow.
my direct supervisor did, but when Cal Nina posted it on LinkedIn, I had several people come at me going, "Why didn't you tell us that you did this?" I'm like, I don't know. I just didn't. I did it for me.
That's cool.
My husband was very proud of me. Um, I texted several of my supporters, saying, "Oh my God, I did it."
He never texted me.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm just finding
I'm
out now.
sorry. I'm sorry.
What did your husband do?
He's a heavy equipment operator.
Okay.
Big boy Tonka toys.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, see, that's a cool job. It's like somebody that's totally admitting, yes, I've never grown up. I just play with more expensive stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He calls them big boy Tonka toys.
There you go. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. You can with a job like that, you can go do whatever you want, wherever you want, and
Yep.
nobody can say
Absolutely.
shit.
Absolutely.
That's cool. And if you ever want a swimming pool, just say, "Hey, honey, bring work home with you today."
Yeah. I've tried to get him to bring home a crane so he can put a jacuzzi in my backyard, but so far I haven't been successful with that one.
Nice. So finally, when work found out, did they have a little celebration for it? By the way, kudos to Cal Nina for posting that. I think that's
Yeah,
so
that
cool.
was that was neat. That was very neat.
What'd they do? Just put a post on LinkedIn or
Yeah. Yeah, it was a post on LinkedIn.
okay. I've
So
seen I've seen agencies do press releases. Um, you know, some of them have gone through and almost made it an event. If especially if they had a couple of people go through it simultaneously. That's really good for the public to understand that the agency's being responsive, you're being responsive as an individual. It's really for them, right?
yeah, they did that. They did a social media post and things like that with our with my SLI graduation. So that was pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So where do you want to take your career from here? What are your aspirations?
I want to teach.
Teach what, public safety?
Yeah. So I
Okay.
currently I currently teach at two of our local colleges for the Dispatch Academy, and I've presented at a couple of conferences. I actually got accepted to present at Nina again this year,
Oh,
so
excellent.
I'm
What are you
excited
what are you
about that.
doing?
I have two different classes. One of them is so you want to be a supervisor or be a supervisor. They said it'll be fun. They said, and then the other one is who's running your rodeo.
Nice.
So talking about different personalities in dispatch and how to manage and lead them.
Wow, I'm definitely going to check those out.
Awesome. Yeah,
So,
I got the chance to present last year too, which was really neat. And I met some amazing people last year in Columbus. So I think being able to be a part of that was definitely one of the things that reaffirmed that I wanted to go ahead and kind of take this next step
cool.
in my career. Um, my my former supervisor Leslie has been encouraging me to do it for a very long time, and so I finally did it, and I was glad that I did.
No, that's cool. My daughter lives just down in Nashville, so she is definitely coming up to Louisville, excuse me.
Yeah.
And she's gonna. It's pretty funny when your kid. She's 23. Oh, I'll show you all the good places to go drinking.
Oh my gosh, how funny.
So, but
Yeah,
she's
we just went to Nashville a couple of months ago, and I fell in love with it. I wish I could move now.
so Steve Martini is the director down there. I've known Steve for a long time, and his jacket says Martini director. So he's the Martini director.
That's
He
awesome.
he says 97% of his calls come in on phase two
Oh, wow.
because of downtown. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? It's like, let me put out 200,000 drunken idiots having a good time in a
Yeah.
a 20 block radius
Yeah.
and throw music in the mix. And I can only imagine what they
Yeah.
go through. But he
It's
loves it there. He loves it there.
yeah, we really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it when we went.
I was down. I went down to visit my daughter at Christmas time, and it was just such a wonderful, wonderful place. I've been to Nashville many, many different times, and I love the whole area down there. But so she's a dental hygienist down there, doing really well, and
Nice.
she's loving it. But she wants to come up to Louisville and go to the conference with me. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still waiting to see what my agency says about CMCP and the actual conference. Last year, I bunked with a friend of mine, and I paid for my airfare. So if I have
Oh
to do
wow.
that again, I'll do that again. It's worth it for me.
It's that's so depressing because it's like they don't understand the value of these conferences and the interaction and the knowledge that
Yeah,
you bring back.
my chief is incredibly supportive. Um, Sorry, that was actually my lieutenant asking me a question.
Tell him you're talking to Fletch, okay? And he needs
He's just asking when I graduated from SLI
to.
last February. Um,
Still no raise.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, my agency is actually incredibly supportive.
Good.
We have a new chief, and she is fantastic. She is just amazing. I think it's more the city politics, that is difficult. It's out of state travel. It's 10 days,
Yeah.
in a hotel in another state. So I think, in fact, I had when I went and talked to her about it, I had said, we can split it up. I can try and do CMCP locally, within California. She's like, no, just write a memo and put it in, and we'll see what happens. She's like, hopefully
Wow.
we can just push everything through. So she's incredibly supportive. She's phenomenal. I'm super lucky in the support that I have from my management.
Now,
Um,
is your agency law enforcement, fire EMS, and dispatch, or are you just dispatch?
so we're a very small police department. We only have 43 sworn. And so we have our police department and dispatch are together.
Okay.
We in our public safety building, we also have the fire department, but we no longer dispatch for the fire department.
Oh, okay.
We did up until January of 2020, and then their dispatch went to county.
Okay. So
Fire
that's
EMS is the
interesting.
county.
So you're a small agency that's using county as a secondary,
Yeah, well, yeah, basically.
technically, right? Because you're taking the call in.
Yeah. We transfer all fire and medical to LA County.
Okay. So LA County does fire and medical then. All right.
Hmm.
Interesting. Now, did your agency ever have sworn dispatchers?
They may have way back when. I don't know. Like I said, I've only been here for 4 years.
Okay.
Um, we did have a lieutenant in charge of dispatch when I got here. My position was a newly created position. So,
Okay. Because 40 years ago, when I was a dispatcher, I was also a sworn special. I carried on the desk. Not that I needed to, but you know, but I also did road shifts. So,
yeah,
that was
we
optional.
we've been, as I'm sure everybody has been, short staffed since I've been here. And actually, our chief allowed us a couple of years ago to cross train officers. So I think we have about 5 officers that are cross trained in dispatch. And they actually had one officer, she was a corporal, was actually assigned to dispatch for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't that she was on light duty or anything. They just knew we needed the help. So they allowed us to utilize her for about 2 years. So that was really nice.
Nice. Do you guys wear uniforms or plain clothes?
We do wear uniforms.
Okay.
I chose not to today, but
That's all right. Well, I think that's good. I think that provides unity to the group.
yeah, we have a polo shirt that has, well, actually I have it here. It has our name and our logo.
Oh, okay.
And the color's kind of funky on here, but it's a dark gray color.
Okay.
And then we wear that with black cargo style pants.
Okay. Extra large, by the way.
For sure.
It's FLETCHE. No. No, that's great. I think it's important for the unity of the agency to at least have shirts if you're not going to do a full uniform. But, black cargos and a polo like that, I think that's the perfect dispatch uniform.
Yeah,
I don't like the ones that are all decked out.
Yeah, we do have a Class A uniform for formal events and things like that.
That's cool. Yeah.
But we don't ever wear those unless it's an event.
Yeah, no. What kind of events do you go to that would require a Class A?
The last one that we wore them out was when our new chief was sworn in.
Oh, okay. That kind of stuff.
That was the last one. We'll do it at award ceremonies or our annual department photo, that kind of thing.
So what are you expecting out of your ENP now that you've got it? Where do you want to take your career with that?
One of the primary things that I'm hoping to do is to start teaching actually with Nina. Lisa Fulton's been bugging me for quite a while.
She doesn't know anything.
She keeps messaging me. Have you sent in your application yet? So,
it's good people.
Yeah. The last class that I taught at a conference, I had somebody record. So I've just got to make the time to sit down and do a little editing on that and send it in.
Good. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in June.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to be attending your
Likewise.
Class. What bit of confidence or expertise or advice do you have to someone who's sitting on the fence right now going, should I do it? Should I not? Can I do it? Can I not? What's your advice for the future ENPs?
I think if you're on the fence of whether you're going to do it or not, we've fought for so many years for the legitimacy of dispatch and, the recognition for what it is that we actually do. I hate the phrase just a dispatcher. And I think this test really shows the dedication to the profession, the dedication to learning all aspects of the profession. And so I think, if you're on the fence of whether to do that or not, just realize that you're doing it not only for yourself, but for the profession. And, I definitely feel like it provides legitimacy to what it is that we do. It's a certification. It's a certification that we work very hard for. And we already do it, so we might as well get the recognition for what it is that we do.
Oh my God, did I write that for you? That
I came up with that all by myself.
Wow. Oh my God. I was like, who wrote that for you? That was almost word for word perfect. You know what? That's fantastic. Seriously, that's exactly, you summed it up. I don't think I could have written it that well, but I'm going to sure steal it.
Thank you.
Good job. Well, great. Well, listen, Rebekah, thank you very much for sitting down with us. Congratulations on being an ENP. Thank you for what you do and for what you've done for, umpteen billion years since you were 5 years old. And Really appreciate finally getting together with you here. I know we've had a couple of rough starts.
I know. I apologize. That's kind of the story of my life, I think.
You know what? It's usually my schedule that's throwing people off, so I don't mind. But I'm really glad. It just goes to show you, you wait for it, and it's the best ones.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks very much for sitting down, and thanks for what you do again. Have a great day.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. And
Bye-bye.
I will see you in June.
Okay. We'll see you there.
Bye.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Off the Cuff, Confessions of an ENP. I'm Mark Fletcher, ENP, and I'm the Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Off the Cuff is sponsored by 911 Inform, delivering next-generation 911 solutions to the enterprise today and making every second count. Visit them on the web at 911inform.com. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Fletch911. Check out all my blogs and podcasts at Fletch.tv. And be sure to like and subscribe below. That way you'll be immediately notified whenever a new podcast is published. Thanks so much for listening. If you're in public safety, thanks for what you do. Take care and have a great day.